So, back working on the Studebaker and the frame swap. Then Corey pointed out when we mocked up the cab and the bed on the frame, and then we put the front wheel on, or the front end on. The wheel opening is huge. So this front end is actually off a 1 ton. That's what we're believing. So we were hoping to use this because the fenders are almost in perfect shape. Like there's no rust, like just surface rust, and not. There's a couple little dents, but that was the only rust that we would have to deal with. But that's in the past now. So we went to our parts truck, and it is from a half ton. The wheel wells are much smaller, but as you can see, rust, rot, huge ass dent. Oh, there's a better shot of the dent. So that needs work. That's a little bit of issue, but not much. And Derek's pounding it. This is the driver's side. Derek's pounding out some dents and just welding up some cracks. There. Rust everywhere. So they're in a lot worse shape than the ones we hoped were going to work, but gotta make this work. Since the huge openings looked a little silly. Lots of undercoating is going to come off. Just adding more work. Rear fenders are okay. It's just these damn front fenders. Dents aren't too big an issue, it's the rust. I hate rust. That's not an issue, it's that. It curves under, it curves this way, it's all curves. But we'll have to make do. And we were going to take the frame in to sandblasting today, but the company that we usually take it in no longer does it. They do only mobile. They come to your place and they do only like large stuff. So they suggested another place, and they needed a picture of the frame and emailed to them so that they can quote it. So it's gonna take, well, I gotta do that today, but won't get a quote back till next week now. So delay. And more delays, but we're pulling more dents out, and we found out that this, I don't know if the camera can pick it up, but right here it sort of curves in. It's been hit here. We pounded this out a bit, but this is still curved in, and because of the lip you can't do anything about it. So one way to do is slice it, and then you can straighten it out and just weld it back together. Curve looks better here, like there's no,
yeah,
it
feels
got
a lot better now.
It got rid of that.
I might just open that up a little bit more.
So when you get dents, it stretches the metal, and with a curve like that, you're never gonna be able to stretch it back. So you basically, we found we've tried pounding on it before on Kevin's truck, and we can never get it. So we just easier just to cut it, even though it's nice metal there. Just cut it, and
it was easier.
Yeah, and then you can flex the metal back where you need to and weld it up.
Yeah.
And Kevin's idea was to, use those big 1-ton front end and then get rid of that chassis and get a 4x4 chassis and make it a 4x4.
No.
That was his solution to the front end problem. But we're not making a 4x4 hot rod.
That's better.
We're making a proper hot rod. Issue. Okay, it's been a couple days. We're still working on the Studebaker. Here's the rear fender, or the front fender, I mean. Front driver's fender. Where this was the replacement one, because the first ones we found out were from a 1-ton, so they won't work. So we actually cut out all this, because it was all rotten. There's rust under there, but no holes here. There's lots of holes under the hole. Probably can't see, but under there. So we decided to take our 1-ton fenders, cut off the whole edge, and we'll cut off this hole up to there and redo the whole thing, so we don't have to. Originally we were going to put a panel in there, so now we don't have to weld on here, warping this edge. We just have to weld that, and it'll be much stronger. We just have to mock it up on the cab first, once it's tacked, to make sure it's straight and that shouldn't be an issue. And Derek's just got a couple spot welds to weld out there, or drill out. And this one's in pretty nice shape. There's just surface rust, no holes. Even's got the original rubber pad. But this lip is nice, and what we're gonna do, we can get behind, and so we're gonna spray that with rust inhibiting primer or paint to stop it from rusting anymore. More spot welds.
Oh, there'll be one that I don't see.
Alright, this is what we've done so far. We've cut the lip off this one. That's where the mounting is. We've fitted it onto there. We've got a clamp at the top, clamp at the bottom. We've measured the shit out of it. Derek's just putting a sheet metal screw in the center just to hold it. Better hold it in place. And then what we're going to do is find out where we'll take a cutoff wheel and just cut through both layers. Here it's a little thin, they're very close. We'll have to make sure that we don't cut through or too far. And then, yeah, cut through both layers, and then we should be able to sink it in. Yeah, I noticed up top there, it's but it just could be
What I want improved my angle.
angle. Yeah, that's the thing we're gonna have to measure, figure out right now, I think, before we actually cut it.
We proved that.
Yeah, yeah, we have a nice straight line here, or pretty straight. We just got to figure out if this peak should be there or there. If this goes there. This looks fairly decent there. If you sight down there, it looks decent. But we'll do some more measuring before we actually cut. Okay, change of a little bit of plans. Yeah, we attempting to put that piece in. Not going great because thing is, this is the top of the fender that we can get lined up pretty good, but this right now we just got a screw in it. We don't know if this needs to be tilted this way, down, in, out. Like, we could measure it off this bolt hole to something in the front. We tried to duplicate that measurement off of one of the other fenders. It's off a little bit. So what we've decided, we'll just leave it like this. That's why we stabilized it with a screw. And there's a screw, we screwed it up. We stabilized the bottom, or the top, I should say. And we're going to leave it like that until we actually get the cab off this, get rid of this frame, and it's out of our way, so we can put the cab on sawhorses, and then we can mock up both these fenders to the grill that we're going to use, then mock it up on the body, and then we can see and leave the doors on now. Then we can see where this lines up with the door. So we're just waiting on that, and we're just doing this sort of stuff because we're actually still waiting on the frame to get sandblasted. So in the meantime, we switched gears, and as you can see, we pulled out the rear glass, the front glass. We started pulling out the door mechanisms. We took out the latch. Still got the door windows. We're going to leave the doors on because that'll line up the fenders. The guy who was hot rodding this in the 70s, fiberglass, or put fiberglass, and that's basically that bad. Put fiberglass over most of the floor for not a good reason, because this is just surface rust, and that's all nice. Can you see even cream colored paint, original paint there? That's not factory, that's been done, but this side and this was all, you can see that's filled with Bondo. We pulled off a bunch, all these ribs were all covered with Bondo. The other side's rotten, so we're gonna have to duplicate that and weld that in. But yeah, the other floor plan was totally covered with, and then the other side, yeah, I don't want to go over there, but it's rotten around here, a little bit here, so we'll have to fix that. But that's not too bad. Front window's out. The front window looks like, we believe this thing was painted in the 70s, but actually they did a very good job, and they actually took the windows out and then painted it because there's green paint under the window. And this is a factory cream cab, and we had problems getting the latch off this side because, well, he brazed, there's screw holes there, and 4 here. Well, he brazed those 2, and then he brazed that one. I guess he didn't have enough screws left, because there is actually threads there, and we think threads there. So that one we're gonna have to fix. So next thing is the pull out quarter windows, and then door glass. Everything seems to be coming out good. Door handles came out easy. And then we will work on this crap, and this wood's getting pulled out. That's not factory. Not factory and at least. And it's too damn hot out to work outside, so we're working in the garage. It's a little cooler. But yeah, so that's plan number 3 or 4 or 5 on this truck. And if the sandblaster doesn't come, or we don't hear from the sandblasting company soon,
Pretty good.
we have another plan. Put the frame on a trailer, take it to our good friend Rick's compound, where we do all the will it start videos, and then we have a large compressor with a gasoline engine on it. So we'll set that up, and then just someone can cover themselves in a bed sheet and go to town on the frame out there. We don't have to worry about sand, because it's out in the country and all that crap. So yeah, just Derek's pulling screws out to get this out. But the mechanism works good. And Derek, before we did all this, Derek went on the internet, and we can actually buy all the rubber moldings for the windows, the front and back windows, fairly cheap. And he found at least a couple places online that does that for these Studebakers. The one place we looked at, the whole cab, all the rubber moldings, front, back, window, this rubber, the rubber around the channel, the felt, for $5.75 for the whole cab. And that's US money, so we thought that was pretty cheap. It was cheaper than the Ford, and there's a lot more companies building stuff for Ford, but that's pretty good. The only issue is the border, but we can wait. We don't need that stuff right now, but we'll continue to pull this thing apart and give you some updates. It's not exciting stuff, and we're trying to keep the screws and stuff for templates, but some of the stuff's been hack. It's a real hackery job in some things. Some things were good, but screws are mismatched and crap like that. It had some weird rear view mirror with a light built into it from 70s luxury mobile. So I think we're gonna end or leave it like this today. You can see we stripped all this out. There was some wood the previous owner put in here. There was wood, there was fiberglass, there was sheet metal, there was Bondo over the wood. There was fiberglass over the wood. There was the screws holding wood over here, and then Bondoed over the screw heads. So everything was fun. As you can see, this was all fiberglass. And you can see the rat's hatchet job there. But we think this was probably modified in the 70s, and we're guessing that the guy didn't have a welder. He did a lot of fiberglass work, and he did a lot of brazing, because everything's brazed instead of welded. And if you go back a few videos, originally this truck had a fiberglass front end on it. The guy apparently was gonna make it a flip front, and so we're assuming that's the same guy because there was fiberglass everywhere on the floor, all over the firewall, like everywhere, just to smooth things out. So we got the doors stripped, all the glass out of them, all the handles, all the weather stripping. We're gonna leave that on. And that's part of the windshield wiper that you had in there. Cable operated. That was the driver's side floor pan. Rust, holding fiberglass, holding the rust in. But it's actually not that bad. And there is Bondo all over these holes. There's Bondo. There's supposed to be a hole there. It's been Bondoed over. So once we pull that out, we'll fix that. And because we're not sure what we're going to do with our gauges, we're not going to use the original gauge. We don't have the original gauge for this. One of our parts truck has one, but it's broken and it looks ugly. Even from the factory, these dashes were pretty damn plain. So we'll probably figure out gauges, put the original panels back here, and maybe put gauges in there too. I'm not sure. But yeah, we're just doing stuff. We gotta do this, but we're just doing this, waiting for the frame to go in for sandblasting. So, and we pulled out the pedal assembly. We think that this came from, well, he was using, it has a Chevy front end, there's a bunch of Chevy parts, so the underneath was a little sketchy. The pedal assembly was only held on by a couple bolts here, and then it was just sort of sitting on a piece of metal in there. So we pulled that out. That's gonna go. We're gonna cut this right off, this garbage. This is the pedal assembly from the Dakota. We're gonna attempt to use this. It's a little long here, so we're just gonna cut this off, put that under the dash. That's gonna be our master cylinder and brake booster. That's a slave cylinder for the clutch. We may use that. We may not. We may use like an aftermarket one. We're not sure, but we'll definitely use the master cylinder. So we're going to attempt to just mount that underneath the dash. So that should work. Just have to shorten this. But yeah, it's just shit that needs to be done, and while we're waiting. And it's too hot outside we were going to pull this out and strip it, but we'll wait for a cooler day since it's 35 degrees out right now or something like that, and it's like 100 degrees or just over 100 degrees Fahrenheit, something like that, and humid. But I think we'll leave this video, boring video, here. So next time, I don't know what we'll be doing on this thing next time. Probably, hopefully we'll make a sawhorse or something to put the cab on, so we can start mocking up the front end and getting that fender welded up properly. So please like, share, comment, subscribe. Obviously, we need all the subscribers necessary and that we can get. We don't make a lot of money doing this. We barely make enough money to buy a few tools here and there, so from the ads. It's more of a not a pain in the ass, but we get pizza once in a while. So thanks for watching. We'll see you later.